how does one accidentally resign from a job?
First of all, I think you got to be pretty miserable. Second, you probably have to be a little bit crazy. And then, my recollection of the conversation was it was just sort of this logical progression of, you've asked me to do this and I'm not prepared to do it. And, you've asked me to sign these documents and I'm not prepared to.
When you get in that headspace of maybe some burnout and misalignment with the company's direction, then you can almost just kind of talk yourself into this is not the right direction for me anymore. And sometimes that just involves talking with someone who has the ability to let you go, if you will.
I have huge respect for everyone who's out there, but not everyone is designed to be a business owner.
How does someone know? Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today, I'm here with Marvin Karlow. Marvin advises business owners on selling and recapitalizing their companies, drawing on firsthand experience as a buyer, operator, and seller across multiple industries and deal sizes. And Marvin, like I said, that's all I'm going to do for an intro because I just like how it sounds coming out of the guest's mouth. So, thank you for coming on the show today. Thanks for taking the time. I'm really looking forward to the conversation, and I do appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Jason, it's an honor. I love doing these podcasts, and it's always a little shocking to me that people want to hear. But I think the joy in it for me is if there's something in the journey that we took that can help somebody else, man, that's fantastic. And otherwise, maybe it just helps get you through your workout a little quicker than otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. If we can find some nugget, piece of inspiration or something like that for someone listening and help them in some way, that's the whole point. So I think you just said that more eloquently than I've ever said when someone says, what do you see as the purpose of this podcast? So thank you for that. And let's talk about it. Let's hear a bit about your journey, a bit about your background and yourself, and kind of what brought you to where you are today.
Yeah. So I'm a little old, so it's a little bit of a long journey, but I started life as a physicist, believe it or not. My family was all academics. Buying a used car was a big sort of business transaction in our world. We thought esoteric thoughts and taught people things that they would never use in real life. That was sort of the family. Unlike some families where you can find the first person to go to college, everybody in my family went to college. I'm the first person to go into business. So
still a groundbreaker.
Yeah, just a different kind of first person. So after I got out of graduate school, I just went to work in sort of corporate America, ended up running a big software division for a global 50 company, and just woke up one day and realized I was completely miserable. And I think the reason that a big part of the reason why I was, so unhappy was just that there was this instinct in me all along that I was making money for someone else. Like, no matter how much they paid me, the actual value being created was bigger. And selfishly, I wanted a piece of it. And so somehow or the other, I figured out the only way to do that, or the obvious way to do that, was to own your own business. And so I sort of accidentally resigned one day. I mean, in the sense that I did not go into the meeting with any plan or purpose to resign. And when I realized that that's sort of what I had done, I quickly came to the further realization that I had no plan of what to do like tomorrow. So I called my best friend, who was a serial entrepreneur, or at least serial business owner. And he was at that point in time retired in Florida, and said, "Hey, we've been talking for a long time about doing a business together. And I kind of need to now. So you need to come out of retirement. We need to go do something." So we did. We went to the complete other end of the spectrum. this is back before entrepreneurship through acquisition was a thing, or before there was a book and a study and a whatever, and 5 million people, trying to do it. And we did a search, and we bought a business, and we grew it, and we owned it and managed it and operated it, and then we exited it. We started in 2010 looking for a business. We were very thorough in our search and bought the first thing we looked at. It took us 6 months to get an SBA loan because 2011 was not the moment in time you really wanted to be speaking to banks. Yeah. We had 2 banks go into receivership while we were speaking to them. So that was exciting. Got a loan done, ran the business for 9 years, and then we sold it to a publicly traded company in 2019. Stayed on for a bit to help them. They quickly figured out we made really, really crappy employees and invited us to find employment elsewhere. But the common thread through all of that, whether it was my corporate career or owning my own business or whatever it was, there was always some element of M&A. The biggest thing I was ever, involved in was 2 public companies merging. A company that I worked for merged with another public company, and I wasn't on the deal team, but I knew a lot of people who were, and so I got to see that, all the way down to we bought our own business, we exited to a publicly traded company, we bought companies along the way to grow, etc. So somewhere along the 2021, I was like, the thing that really, I realized that I was actually really angry. And the thing I was angry about was small business owners basically, spending all this time and effort and energy building a business over however many years, and then kind of getting screwed at the last step. And the thing that I'd seen over and over and over again was that if you had a medium-sized business, there were all sorts of Wall Street types falling all over themselves to help you. But that if you had, an enterprise value less than $100 million, the representation fell off pretty rapidly. And a lot of business owners, through no fault of their own, chose a poor representative and left a crap ton of money on the table at the last step, or didn't get a deal done at all. And I wanted to try to help fix that. And it sort of become my passion. So you're going to ask a question at the end, and I just sort of previewed the answer, but I got really, really passionate about helping small business owners. And small, it's ridiculous, but small is less than $100 million in enterprise value. That's what's considered a small business in today's metrics, right? It's silly. Yeah. Our sweet spot at Raincatcher is probably 3 to 50 million. We do plenty of deals bigger than that, but kind of the 3 to 50 million dollar range. And giving them, as close as we're capable of to world-class representation, the sort of representation they would get if they were a $300 million company, and ensuring that they get the maximum value available in the market for their business when they sell, and a transaction that actually closes. So that's the story.
Yeah. So much to talk about. First, how does one accidentally resign from a job? That's when you said that. I guess I can imagine how it goes a little bit, but people, you're in the M&A world. I mean, people, there's a lot of talk about it. We're both familiar with the Acquiring Minds podcast. Like, there's a lot of noise about it now, but it doesn't sound like that was really on your radar when that day happened where you said, yeah, I'm done here. So you just happened to have a friend who was an entrepreneur and doing this. Is that basically that was your connection to the M&A world at that point?
Well, yeah. So I guess I had plenty of connection to the M&A world. Like, we'd done tons of deals, right? Me as a corporate executive, I had been involved in a whole lot of deals. But the idea that, I don't know the day that I resigned that I knew that there was a Small Business Administration loan guarantee program. I'm not sure I knew that, right? Yeah. I thought maybe we just go down to Bank of America and get I mean,
Right.
the level of cluelessness is astronomical. But in terms of deal mechanics, I knew a ton, right? In terms of doing a $2 million acquisition or whatever, I had absolutely no earthly idea what we were doing. And then how do you accidentally resign? Well, first of all, I think you got to be pretty miserable. Second, you probably have to be a little bit crazy. And then, my recollection of the conversation was it was just sort of this logical progression of, you've asked me to do this and I'm not prepared to do it. And, you've asked me to sign these documents and I'm not prepared to, attest to these things. And, we're signing up for these commitments to the larger corporation and I'm not in agreement, and it was just sort of this, oh, well, I guess we can't sort of continue. That's sort of how it went. Now, they kept me on for 9 more months. So that was a huge blessing. But, I think mentally I was just done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, when you get in that headspace of maybe some burnout and misalignment with the company's direction, then you can almost just kind of talk yourself into this is not the right direction for me anymore. And sometimes that just involves talking with someone who has the ability to let you go, if you will.
Are you planning a remodel or construction project? Overwhelmed by the process? Over budget? Extended timelines? Strained relationships? We are all too familiar. At Lark Construction Services, we help homeowners and business owners take control of their construction journey, from reviewing bids and contracts to catching red flags before they become costly mistakes. Our Clarity Audit is a one-on-one expert review of your plans, estimates, or current progress, giving you the peace of mind and a defined action plan to move forward with confidence. Don't let confusion lead to costly errors. Visit larkconstruction.com and schedule your free call today. Lark Construction Services, saving you time, money, and stress.
When the alternative of living under a bridge in a refrigerator box is preferable, it's probably about time to go. Now, Jason, the one thing I do want to say, though, is leaving and buying your own business are, you can have one without the other. In my role now, and I say this with respect to everyone who's out there, because I have huge respect for everyone who's out there, but not everyone is designed to be a business owner. Mm-hmm. Like if you're going to embark on this entrepreneurship through acquisition journey, you need to sort of know in your bones that you were created to be a business owner. Because if you weren't, there's no shame in that. Like if every single person in the world was created to be a business owner, we'd have, 8.5 billion sole, proprietorships, right? Like, I mean, right. Nobody would have any employees. So, I mean, it's okay to be an employee. Like that's a really good path too. Read Millionaire Next Door. Like there's lots of ways to be an employee and still, finish rich. But if you know that you were built to be a business owner, then I think the sooner you get there, the happier you're going to be. And that was true for me. Like I'm not very smart, so it took me a really long time to sort of figure it out. But once I got there, I've got one of my best friends who ended up being another one of my business partners. He went to HBS and, he's like, Marvin, and he owned his own business. He's like, Marvin, no matter how dark it got, and it's been really, really dark, I didn't wake up a single day and go, crap, I could have gone to Goldman Sachs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're built to be a business owner, then go for it. If you weren't, then there are lots of really, really good jobs out there. Find one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a phenomenal point. And I have... It took me a long time to figure it out too, but just like you just said, that really resonated. No matter how dark it gets, sometimes I'm still glad I'm in the position that I'm in, and it's like you're a physicist. You had worked in corporate America. You could easily have gone back to a good job, high paying job, I guess when I would say good,
Yeah.
high paying job. And so having a fallback like that is nice. It's a nice cushion, but yeah, at the end of the day that if you do have that, like you said, in your bones, it will still feel better. Even the really hard, dark times will still feel better than being sort of at the whim of someone else. And I think it comes down a lot to just that independence and autonomy that you get from being a business owner.
Yeah.
How does someone know? Do you think that there's a way, a test, a thing that you can do to kind of figure out if it's in you? Because I think it's very common for people to get stuck in like that analysis paralysis and fear of taking that step. Do you think there's a way that someone can know, if they're cut out to be an entrepreneur, or do you suggest they just try and find out, and if not, fine? But I think there's some repercussions to that.
Yeah, I think that there are some common threads. Being an investment banker, right? I get to talk to lots and lots of, I spend my days talking to two categories of people who own businesses who are trying to sell them, or people who don't own businesses or maybe do, who are trying to buy the first one or more, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah. I'm in this world of people who all I talk to all day are either business owners or aspiring business owners. Like those are the only people, those are my only friends now. So, and I think there are some common threads. So one thing you do here is I wasn't a very good employee, and that's fine. Not all bad employees make good business owners, but if you ask the follow-on question of why, you get some version of the answer. Well, I just could never get comfortable with the fact that I was building equity value for somebody else, mm-hmm. Right? Or I treated my job like I owned the company, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because everyone's like, you hear people, and there are whole books about like, get your employees to behave like owners. And well, that's great in certain respects. It's not actually what most business owners want. Like, they want to be the business owner, and they want their employees to act like engaged, committed employees. Right. So, I think that if you look at a business, and if you look at your job and you treat it like you own the business, you'd probably make a good business owner. If you realize that no matter how much they pay you, there's more value being created by your efforts than you're realizing, or is accruing to you, then maybe you'd make a good business. And you don't like that, you're uncomfortable with that, then maybe you'd make a good business owner. If you're sort of the person who's willing to do literally whatever it takes, you have no pride, like no, like nothing is beneath you, then maybe you'd make a good business owner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and then the last thing is you have to have a very, very high ambiguity tolerance. Like, you have to be really uncomfortable with the unknown. And so I don't know. I think for me, it cuts both ways, but maybe my greatest sort of blessing going into being a business owner was just sort of this, it probably borders on arrogance, but just sort of this unwavering belief that no matter the problem, I could figure out a solution to it.
Yeah. That last little bit there, I think is, all the other things fit too, but I do think that there's something about entrepreneurship that comes down to like irrational optimism, maybe. Yeah. In a way, like, you're just like, no, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's like, how am I going to pay payroll this week? It's going to be fine. It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. You're just basically always in that mode. And it's a willingness to live like that, sort of uncomfortably with an unknown outcome, and work really hard through it for an undefined amount of time. There's like just a whole lot of uncertainty wrapped into one, and you got to be okay with that. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's, to me, that's the, maybe the, I don't know, the thing that sets up, entrepreneurs apart from an employee is just that ability to, I don't even know if ability is the right word, willingness to accept the unknown for a long time, thinking that it'll work out in your favor eventually. Like that's,
Yeah, like we will find a path through this, right? So, I tell people who ask, like I never used my PhD once. Like I really didn't. Like
yeah,
not one time since I left graduate school have I ever actually used my PhD. But the thing that they make you do in order to get a PhD is to do, a substantive body of novel work, right?
mm-hmm.
Produce a substantive body of novel work. Well, that means you've got to figure out where the knowledge boundary is in your particular field, and then you've got to advance it an amount that's judged by your peers as meaningful, right? Well,
Right.
that's what being a business owner is, right? You find out where the frontier of the business is on every given day, and you advance it a material amount as defined by an amount that keeps the lights on and the employees paid and the whatever. And if you can't figure out how to do that, well, guess what? You're going to BK. It's just a matter of time. So it's really the same skill set. And I don't know if it's irrational optimism or just like a belief in yourself that you'll figure it out, or, a willingness to accept. As I've gotten older, one of my favorite sayings used to be, failure is not an option, right? Well, what I've learned the hard way is failure is absolutely an option, right?
Yeah.
What it's not typically is fatal, right? It's not unrecoverable, but it is an option.
Yeah.
And if you play this game long enough, you're gonna fail. But you just sort of have this belief that, well, okay, if it doesn't kill me, I'll learn from it and I'll move on and we'll figure it out and we'll just build it bigger next time. But not everybody can do that. And if you can't, there's no shame in it. But I guess to sort of wrap this up, as miserable as I was being an employee, as highly compensated as I was, as cushy as the office was, as many flights as I took in first class, like all of the perks, as miserable as I was at that, and as happy as I am as a business owner, if you're not built to be a business owner, you're going to be just as miserable as I was being a business owner.
Yeah.
So don't do it, right? But if you're wired for it, get there as quick as you can, because nothing will make you happier.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, that it's like you have to switch your mindset from failure is not an option to failure is going to happen. And it's an opportunity to learn and adjust and all of that. So it is, it is a fascinating, kind of shift in psychology. And I guess you hear people that have that from the beginning, from a very young age. But I think probably most of us have to do some developing and maybe experience working in another field and working for someone to kind of know, hey, that is actually where I want to be.
Yeah.
What did you tell us what the business was that you bought, that first business and exited from? What industry? We don't have to. I don't want to go into detail because I want to talk about Raincatcher more. But what
So I went from enterprise software to the property casualty insurance industry, right? So top of the food chain. We bought a metal finishing business in Florida that had a 25,000 square foot warehouse and 0 square feet of air conditioned space.
In Florida, that's comfortable working conditions, right?
Oh, absolutely right.
that must have been brutal in the summers. No, and it's funny. I think a lot of people talk about sort of that was I assume was a lot of project based work, and people talk about sort of staying away from it, but then look around and there's a lot of examples of successful people in project based work. So it's certainly not a type of industry or type of I guess category that you should completely ignore if you are looking to become an entrepreneur.
Let's double click on that just real quick, right? So again, I'm old, right? But I mean, 10 years, 15 years, I don't know quite how far you have to go back, but the frequency with which you will hear the term recurring revenue goes off a cliff like 10 or 15 years ago. I mean, subscription based, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that used to be magazines, right?
Right.
Okay. I mean, this whole concept of recurring revenue and multiples of ARR and all of this stuff that we're just completely geeked out with right now, the business world has existed for centuries without this.
Right.
And if you go and look, just go through the S&P 500, hell, go through the S&P 100 and find the ones that have true recurring revenue. McDonald's doesn't. I mean, you just go right down to Starbucks doesn't. Not true recurring revenue.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I go to Starbucks and get my $7 matcha latte every single day, but they don't know that. You know what I mean? So this kind of recurring revenue thing that we're all geeked out about right now and that we're paying these crazy multiples for, people weren't talking about this 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think I have, well, I don't know that I've become a contrarian, but I think I've always been a contrarian, but it has become even more ingrained in me when I start to look at, when people say, don't do this thing, or it should always be this way, or, as soon as someone puts an absolute on something, I want to go in the opposite direction. I really just become, and it's like, I own now an electrical business. It's not recurring revenue, but guess what? I'm doing a bid for a $1 million plus contract. Like, I will take that all day long, like over $50 a month. Like that's, it just doesn't, I don't know. It's, to me, it's better. I mean, you talk about like the Starbucks example, the better thing is excellent service and delivery that results in repeat customers and referrals. Like, that's to me the safest form, because ultimately your subscription can be canceled. I get alerts all the time on my phone that says, do you want us to cancel these subscriptions for you?
Right.
It's like, that's very possible. And so I just think, the multiples, like you mentioned that, the multiples that people talk about for something that has recurring revenue becomes so much higher. So you're just paying a much higher price for something that like that's not guaranteed to continue for the life of your business ownership. That's just what's there right now. And so I get it. I understand why people like it, but I would argue that you are better off figuring out a way in whatever business you have to have strong referral and repeat customer base, and then maybe you can work that into some sort of recurring type of revenue, but ultimately, like, I just don't see it as such a, I don't know, big win as it sometimes gets talked about. But
and just to double click on that, so to me, is the demand evergreen? That's really the right question. Like, is the demand likely to go away in the foreseeable future? So if your concern is it going to be Amazon, or is it going to be AI, or is it going to be this, or is it going to be that? Okay, great. Those are fantastic questions, right? But if you can convince yourself that the demand is evergreen, whether it's project-based or not, then, whether you have recurring revenue or not, you've got to do all the things that businesses have always had to do to survive and thrive well, regardless of, kind of what type of revenue you have. And to your point, like, if you have a recurring revenue business and your customer service goes to shit, people are going to start canceling. Yep. And if you have a non-recurring revenue business and you're like completely wrapped around the axle on providing excellent, service and whatever to your customers, your business is going to grow unless the demand evaporates. Like, right? Yeah. So I look at what product or service are you delivering, and is it likely to continue to be a need for it. and is that need likely to grow over time? And then, then go for it.
Yeah, completely agree. Let's talk Raincatcher so we don't
Yeah.
run out of time on that. But when did you? I think you said you exited in 2019 and stayed on for a couple of years. So when did you start Raincatcher? Tell us a little bit about the evolution of that.
Yeah. So I decided that what I really wanted to do was basically start an investment bank or an M&A advisory firm to help small business owners exit well. And I was sort of down the track of beginning to figure that out when I came across Raincatcher, and I don't remember how, but I just sort of stalked all the managing directors on LinkedIn until finally one of them said, "Yeah, I'll do a 30-minute call with you." And I discovered that they were doing, my suspicion was correct, that they were doing exactly what I wanted to do, exactly the way I thought it should be done. And they were sort of 15 years ahead of me. And so I managed to convince them to invite me to join the team. And, I've sort of been there ever since. And so again, going back to this example, if you have a $300 million company, then there's 25 middle market investment banks on Wall Street, from Guggenheim to Lazard to Houlihan Lokey to whoever, right, who will help you sell.
Yeah.
And the process they'll follow to help you sell is they'll throw a team of analysts at putting together this amazing looking marketing book and these incredible financial statements and all of these things. And then they'll take you out to market in sort of a road show. Well, they'll get you in front of all the, buyers who might potentially have interest in your business. And then they'll run kind of this auction process. It's not like it's not like the auction at your kid's PTA, but it's sort of this idea that people submit bids and those bids get negotiated. But there's this competitive environment over some number of weeks or months where the interested suitors are sort of putting together their best offer and getting feedback. And then ultimately the principals of the business being sold make a decision and sign a letter of intent with one of those, whoever it is of that group. And the advantage of this process is it's competitive and everybody knows they're not the only boy at the dance trying to, dance with the prettiest girl. And so what you get is a set of offers which really do get you oriented to how the market views your business and what the values are. And at the end of that, you've got a decision to make, which is I disagree with the market, and I think none of these offers meet, the necessary threshold for me to sell. Or you've got one or more that do meet that threshold and you move forward. And so we do that for the $30 million company or the $3 million company. And the proof to me that it works is in the fact that almost never is the offer, that is the LOI that got signed the same as the initial offer from that party. Okay. So the terms improve, the valuation increases. This wasn't my deal, but we had a deal recently where the initial bid from the party that ultimately won the auction was $5 million. Their final winning bid was $13 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, again, right. I share that example because it's a really, really good one. 160% increase in value is pretty significant. But do we see a 30, 40, 50% increase frequently? Yeah, we really do. And it's just that power of, like anything else, when you decide you want it, you do what it takes to win it. And you're not going to get that. And that was really my frustration at the core of it was, and I went through this process with brokers where they're actually negotiating with their client to lower the price to improve the chance of getting a deal done. because they're just going to wait. They're going to put a price tag on it, and then they're just going to wait for the phone to ring, and then they're going to come back to you and they're going to say, "Hey, Jason, we got an offer. It's 10% below list, but it's the only one we got, so I think we should move forward." Well, that sucks. Like, you don't want that. What you want is what you get sort of from us, which is, "Hey, Jason, we've been running this process for 3 months. You've had 17 management meetings, or 7, or whatever it is. And we've negotiated LOIs with these 5 parties, and the top 3 are these. It's Friday afternoon at 4, go home, have a bottle of wine with your significant other and pick one, because they're pretty much equivalent. And if that one falls apart, we'll have a backup."
Yeah.
That's a way better situation, right?
Yeah.
And you've also gotten, again, in this case that I just quoted, maybe that 13 was significantly above the number 2 bid. I don't know. Again, it wasn't my deal. But frequently it's not. Frequently you've got a 13, a 12.7, a 12.3, and you've got 2 or 3 more or less equivalent offers for the business owner to choose between. So that's in a nutshell, that's what we do at Raincatcher. That's what differentiates us from sort of the business broker market. And that's why I feel really confident when I talk to, prospective clients, telling them, look, your outcome is going to be one of 2 things. Either an offer that you have either a deal that you have high confidence is the maximum value available in the market for your business, or an understanding of the gap that you have between the valuation that you need or want and how the market currently sees your business.
Yeah. Was some of this driven by experience with exiting your own company? Did you have some things that you felt like you maybe left money on the table, it didn't go exactly how you would have liked it to go? Is that, I mean, I think a lot of times we we have a bad experience and we're like, I want to do something better than what happened to me.
Yeah, close to that. So in our particular case, we were, just sort of extraordinarily, blessed and favored in our exit. We sold to a strategic. We didn't run a process. They kind of came to us. They made us an offer we couldn't refuse. We can talk about kind of that piece of it, but no, the frustration for me and sort of the anger, if you will, came from just watching lots and lots of small deals go past. As either in my corporate job, we were buying, kind of smaller companies, and just seeing the level of misrepresentation, almost, if you will, that some of these business owners were receiving, and the way our deal team would, just kind of take advantage of them, like they didn't know any better, and so we would just sort of run circles. And you knew that on our side of the table, we knew we would easily have paid more. Like, we would have happily paid more. We just didn't have to, because they weren't well represented. And then, in our own, just real quick, the company that we bought, there were 2 business brokers involved, not 1. And they were clearly in the deal prevention business. And things got so bad that we finally called our broker and said, you need to sit down and shut up and not say another word. We're driving over to see the business owners. We're going to work this out. We are going to close this deal, and we will wire your fee.
Yeah.
But if you say another word, this thing's going to explode.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I have no M&A experience in those, the high, the 50 million, 100 million, when you're having true investment banks involved. I don't know, but certainly my experience on these small deals with brokers has been very mixed, to say the least, in that, it's hard to know if they're helping or hurting. Sometimes both, like, so might be helping on one thing, might be hurting on another thing. And sometimes business transactions are such a personalized experience that it is, I think, often very helpful to have a conversation with the owner, because it's you're likely to have them involved in some way when you're buying a business, or be involved if you're selling your business. And so it's not just as simple as like, hey, we're just going to close this and never see each other again. There's certainly some sort of transition.
No, I mean, it's funny you say that. Like, I mean, to me, that's a huge tell. Like, if you've got a broker involved in the process who is sort of actively keeping both parties in their respective corners and is proxying all of the communications and is, never, that's not helpful.
Right.
Like, I get why during certain periods and whatever, but you've got to let the people meet each other. You've got to let them talk to each other. You've got to let them interact and engage. And there's no one size fits all, but look, this is my opinion. There are absolutely people at my firm who feel at Raincatcher who feel differently, who approach it, in a more conservative way. But, I kind of let the parties get engaged with each other fairly early on in the process and let them start interacting, because, if they can't do it in the early stages, then almost certainly something's going to blow up in the later stages you're just going to waste more time before you find out that they really can't do a deal with each other. Right. But, again, to your point, like, so, there are plenty of good people out there trying to do this. One of the things that really frustrates me about the industry at large, again, if you're at Houlihan Lokey, you've got some FINRA licenses, tagged after your name. You've got a Series 82, you've got a Series 63, you've got a Series 79, you've got a Series 7, whatever it is, right? Doesn't mean you're any good, but it means that you have invested a significant amount of time and effort in passing some standardized exams, that do let you know, hey, is it an 800 or a 1600? Like, I mean, okay, fine. Right. And in the lower middle market, there's no such requirement. There's this sort of gray loophole-y thing where you're not actually technically required, probably, maybe, to have a license. So one thing I encourage, every small business owner is, before you sign an engagement letter with a representative, ask if they're licensed, right? And there are all these sort of business broker associations out there. That's not a license.
Sure. Yeah.
That's not regulated, right? It's got to be FINRA. It's got to be a securities license. And if they've got that, at least, you've got some level set. I mean, in Texas, I've got this rant on LinkedIn that I posted, and the title of it is, your plumber has a license, your business broker probably doesn't. Like, that but literally, Jason, like, you own an electrical company. So, like, the guy that's going to come and install the chandelier in your house or replace the light switch that stopped working, he's got a license.
Right. Yeah.
That man or woman has got a license.
Yeah.
I don't have to have one, and I can sell your company. It's nuts.
Yeah. 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 So some of the regulatory discrepancies just don't make any sense at all. It's a very odd world.
It's an odd world. So anyway, my feedback to business owners on that point is just find out what kind of a license your broker has or your representative has before you sign on it all. And if they don't have one, maybe keep looking. Like, that's probably a red flag. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would say that's a great point. And just in general, like, due diligence on who your representative is going to be, and their experience and track record in your industry. I mean, that and that's probably why it gets maybe hopefully higher quality as your business valuations go up, is, those people are more invested in it because you're probably making more money per transaction and all of that. So there's definitely a hierarchy of scale there where you're going to get what you pay for, I guess, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, a little bit for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Well, Marvin, let me like I said, I want to switch gears here. I told you I was going to ask you this question. You're kind of already prequel, is that the right word?
Yeah.
But what is your why? I know certainly helping business owners seems to be a part of it. I want to give you the chance to answer the question directly and expand on that if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess what I would say about that is, in my entire career until now, I never woke up excited about the business itself. Like, we owned a automated powder coating line in Florida. Not one day in the 10 years we owned that did I wake up and go, oh gosh, I get to turn metal black today. Like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, we get to go. I own an electrical company. We get to go screw in light bulbs today. Can't wait. Like,
Yeah.
this is going to be so much fun. I was passionate about owning the business. I was passionate about having employees and knowing that they were getting a paycheck and there was food on their table and roofs over their kids' heads, and all of that stuff was great. But the actual business itself was completely irrelevant to me. It was just, a machine making widgets, whatever it was. This is different. This, being an investment banker and working with lower middle market business owners to help them achieve maximum value when they exit the business they've built is truly the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I know I'm not changing the entire world, but every successful transaction that I'm involved in changes a life. Sometimes it's changed your address money, sometimes it's changed your entire lifestyle money. But I wake up every day and think, I've got an opportunity today to change somebody's life for the positive. And so I love that. And it still really, really pains me that there are a lot of people out there getting bad outcomes. But I believe that anyone who works with a representative at Raincatcher, whether it's me or someone else, they will get offers that are at the top of the market. They will know that the market has been surveyed and they've got a set of pretty solid answers that they can make some decisions with. And then if they decide to move forward, they get paid and we get paid. And if they don't move forward at that moment, they've got good data on what to go, improve for the next go round. And if we've done our job well, then they're coming back. And I keep saying that I'm old, but this is the sort of job, kind of like golf, that you can do until you die. And so at some level, I plan to do this till I die. So I guess my message to business owners who are listening is it's never too early to start the conversation. Jason's going to put my email address in the show notes, and just send me an email, start the conversation. And if you're ready to sell, great. And if we're just going to touch base every 90 days for the next 10 years until you decide you're ready to sell, that's great too. We haven't talked about lots of questions like how our business is valued and whatever. But there's always a range, and where you fall within that range can change. And sort of the better you run your business up until the time that you sell, and the more of the things that you do that improve valuations, the closer to the top of that range you're going to end up, and the easier the transaction is going to go. So reach out to us and let's start a conversation.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And I guess I would just add to that. You kind of gave me a thought of a follow-up question. That those people reaching out to you, do you help people prepare for sale in kind of in advance? Like it's obviously it's great if someone comes to you and they're like, I'm ready, and you look at their financials and everything's good to go and they're a good business to sell. Probably that's not the majority of
No.
business owners. Do you sort of help them in that prep phase if that's what they need at the beginning?
Yeah. So there's kind of two pieces to that. There's the business oriented, sort of the business coaching things. And for that, we have a partner organization that they don't get anything from us. We don't get anything from them, but it's a group of former business owners who have a track record with us of doing really phenomenal jobs. So if you've got a year or 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever till you sell, these are people who have owned businesses, who have sat in your seat, who will come alongside and link arms with you, and will get you through all of the things, whether you need to build a sales team, or whether you need to put in an ERP, or whether you need to refine your hiring process, or whatever it is. All those things that improve the value of a business, they'll do those with you. And then there's a specific set of sort of deal things that we will do with you. And those, it's worthwhile starting those kind of 6 months out. I mean, obviously your financials have got to be clean. Your tax returns have got to be filed timely. There's the basic stuff, but then there's a few other things that can help. But in terms of kind of the business coaching piece, we've got some good partners that help with that. And I guess just if you're a business owner and you're not in, a YPO or a C12 or a Vistage or something else, join. You need peers. You need people to hold you accountable. You need other people who are sweating payroll at 3 o'clock in the morning to reach out and talk to when that's, when it's your turn to do that. And then get a business coach. None of us know it all. All of us have blind spots, and, just having someone say, well, have you thought about that? Or have you looked into this? It's invaluable. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. Marvin, give us that email so we make sure everybody has it, and we'll put it in the show notes.
It is marvin.karlow@raincatcher.com, marvin.karlow@raincatcher.com.
Perfect. I will have that. This was great. I could go on and on and on, but I won't keep you all day. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything that you shared. I think such valuable information from your experience. So I really do appreciate your time.
Jason, thanks for having me on. I appreciate your time as well.
Absolutely. Folks listening, make sure you connect with Marvin, especially if you are looking to sell your business. And please like, rate, and review the show so we can continue to get great guests. And as always, thank you so much for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?